We now have the pleasure of being joined by Virginia men's lacrosse head coach Lars Tiffany. Coach, thanks so much for joining the Ostrom Avenue podcast. It is the sixth time that you've been on the podcast now, the most of any coach, just past also other ACC coach John Danowski, who just tied his fifth time on the podcast a couple weeks ago. You're now number six, the most frequent guest in terms of head coach. So thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
I will take that honor and embrace it. I grew up in Lafayette, New York, and as I got older, I got to play on the Ostrom, the Gordy Ostrom athletic fields, the varsity field for football and basketball, excuse me, football and lacrosse up at Lafayette High School. So the Ostrom name is very dear to me.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Didn't know that, but wow. So we'll get right into it. Obviously, I guess the biggest storyline with Virginia so far, it was kind of an up and down start to its season, playing a really good Richmond squad early in the year, as part of non-conference play. But last four games have been all wins, including some top 10 victories over Notre Dame and Duke. How has that kind of flip of the tide been, and what's the philosophy been during that four-game win streak?
Yeah, uh, I've often said the season is a race to improve, and well, boy, we had a long way to run and race this year, didn't we? The way we started the season, and it's not to take anything away from the opponents who beat us. You know, Richmond has proven to be a fantastic program this year, um, and we just didn't play good defense, and we didn't make saves that day, and we gave up way too many goals. Our offense gave us a chance, but our defense failed us that day. As the season went then progressed, a collapse against Hopkins in the second half. You know, we're up by 5 goals at halftime, 4 goals going into the fourth quarter, and we just don't make the saves we need. We don't play the defense we need to play, and so just kind of growing and learning. The biggest difference is we've got double-digit saves 4 times the last 4 games. And we've won those 4 games. And that's not just the goalie, though Jake Merrick, our transfer from the Air Force Academy. Well, I shouldn't say transfer. He graduated from the Air Force Academy, and now he's serving um, in through the military, earning a master's in nursing here at the University of Virginia's nursing school. He is making a lot more saves. What he does really well too is he steals passes around the goal. If you throw a pass to near the crease, maybe to somebody behind the goal, you think, oh, I'll throw it to him. He'll be the feeder. Jake's got a really great knack of picking that ball off and surprising you, throwing a monkey wrench in your plans. And so he's playing much better. And he's grown more comfortable with the defense in front of him. And then vice versa. Now the defense is comfortable with him. So we know, hey, we got to take away this shot, but we're okay giving up this lower angle shot down the alley. That wasn't happening earlier in the year. So there's a confidence that's going both directions. So I think our offense has been playing at a high level the whole year. What I'm really seeing a difference is the goalie and the defensive play, and that's really helped transform us. And keeping Notre Dame to 9 and Duke to 10 has been the key.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think you can really argue against your defense winning you the game last week. I mean, your best player, one of your two best players, obviously the Millen brothers, both in their own right, tied right now on points. But, McCabe held to 0 points against Duke last week. So, way down from his usual outings. What kind of changed last week? What wasn't really working on the offensive end to get him involved? And what did you guys kind of focus on in practice this week to kind of get him back to where he needs to be?
Yeah, there's different things you can do to get a great player on track. We can have some starters, meaning we don't run set plays necessarily, but initiating an offense, what's the first look out of it? Maybe that's two or three guys are doing something special, some sort of an action. Can we get somebody like McCabe going? So, this weekend, could we put McCabe in the crease to start a play? Like, well, you'd be like, he's not a crease player. Well, maybe start him in the crease and then have him exchange out. Does he lose his matchup because his matchup was responsible for the slide? Can we do some picks or double staggered picks to get McCabe going? Do we bring him out of the midfield? We've been bringing him out of midfield quite a bit. Do we do more of that? Do we make him more exclusively a midfielder and to change the matchups. Now instead of Figueres, maybe he's got a long stick midi guarding him.
Yeah.
So, it's bottom line at Duke, he's got Charlie Johnson. Charlie Johnson's a great defender. Did really, really well. McCabe had a couple shots saved. But what's great about it is I don't have McCabe in my office going, Coach, what's wrong with me? The confidence is there. I don't have McCabe in my office going, Coach, this isn't right. He recognizes that if he's going to draw all the attention he's drawing, then that liberates Joey Terenzi and Ryan Dunkel to do their thing and dodge and no one slides. And so it's a balance, and it probably also helps too. And his brother, his kid brother, puts up 6 points,
Yeah.
while he's struggling, and so McCabe's a team player and he can recognize it. But yeah, it is on the coaches. What can we do to get something different, change the matchup because he's always getting the number one defender, and put him in different spaces that benefit him in the offense, and we'll work on that this week.
You mentioned Brendan, obviously, freshman sensation has been really, really good piece for your squad. I remember last season we were talking about that kind of three-headed monster for your offense, and a fourth one been added to that with Brendan. Virginia's had a lot of good attackers and midfielders offensively since you've been there. Who does he remind you of, and what does he bring to UVA's offense?
Great question. Lofty analogy, Connor Schellenberger. That's saying a lot, I know. Four-time first team All-American. Um, but I have to remind myself what Brendan's doing. This is his first year here. Connor Schellenberger redshirted. Now that's kind of lost in antiquity, in a sense, because that year got wiped out anyways. If Connor had played the 6 games we played in 2020 before COVID shut down the year, he would have got that year back anyways. We were just dumb enough to not get those 6 games in. Um, so Connor's record is starting a year and a half into his experience as a University of Virginia student athlete, whereas Brendan's doing this, 6 months into being a college student. And his poise, his vision, it reminds me a lot of Connor. And I hate to say it this way, but I'm almost starting to take him for granted, like I did Connor, in terms of, oh, that guy's open, he'll find him. Yep, the ball's right in the stick, right where the shooter wants it. Brendan is doing the same thing. He is finding the guy, he's making good decisions, and he's allowing us to be creative on offense in those in betweens when it's not pure 66. Do we push transition or do we not? Do we settle it? His presence is helping us being both um, creative without being undisciplined. Last year, we were making a lot of turnovers in those in between gray areas, making bad decisions, throwing balls away, and all of a sudden we're playing more defense. This year, those risks, calculated risks, we're at a much higher rate of making good decisions and making good making good plays in those scenarios. And I give Brendan a lot of credit there, like Connor Schellenberger did for us for years as our quarterback.
Yeah, coach, on paper, I mean, a pretty close matchup. You guys have the same amount of face-offs won this year, and I really look at the fact that you guys have forced the third most takeaways in the nation. Your defensive unit obviously very strong. We saw that last week. But Syracuse a little bit different. They have the second lowest turnover rate in the nation. So how do
Oh,
you see
wow.
your team kind of having to work to force turnovers extra hard this week?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Um, how do possessions end? Is it a save? Is it a turnover? Is it an unforced turnover, unforced error, or is it a goal? And you know, we've obviously felt like as a defense we've had to create more turnovers because we weren't getting the saves that we needed. But now we are. So does that mean we can be a bit more patient and take less risks? Number eight's going to take risks. Hopper's going to throw over the head checks, and I can try to contain it, but we recruited, a cheetah. Cheetahs run fast. Cheetahs do th what cheetahs do, right? You're not going to change them. You can adapt them a little bit. Um, and um, and so That's interesting. I didn't realize they were the second best team in the country for turnovers. And so it really does highlight, can we force them into shots that can be saves? Now, sometimes they'll go in. We've seen it. You've seen it. You guys know better. Like, whoa, how did Leo just put that ball in? That second goal against UNC was ridiculous, no angle.
Yeah.
So those are going to go in, and the lights are going to go on and off, and it's going to get loud, and it's going to be a big party, and it's going to feel like you just scored 5 goals. And so we've been talking to our team like, look, it's a goal, it's one goal. Look at each other, magnet, magnet, magnet. But anyway, back to your question. Yeah, that's the key is that's what I'm so impressed with this offense. I didn't realize they were that good with the turnover ratio. I just am really impressed with their shooting and decision making. Um, I don't know.
It might not feel like it when they play outside. I mean, it feels like it's two different teams at this point. So
Doesn't it? I
yeah.
mean, it's unbelievable the difference.
Yeah.
You know, can I can you call me? Can you tell me right now that the dome just went offline, for some reason. We're playing at Cicero North Syracuse High School, awesome. But but our guys do want that experience. It's a special experience, I asked that a couple days ago, like, all right, who here has played in the dome? And it's funny because we play there every other year, but you know, when I asked that question, I got a bunch of first years and second years now, and then I got a couple third years who didn't make the travel roster.
hmm
I'm like, geez, like only a third of my team's been in the dome. None of us have a lot of experience there. It's an incredible experience, but yeah, you got to quickly, I wish there was a shake of experience to drink, but you got to be in it to know it.
Yeah.
Five teams have tried this year to win a game in the dome, and all five have lost.
And giving up a lot of goals. I know Boston came in that first game and with a 10-man ride, got some possessions back, and you know, but yeah, I mean, good defenses are going up there. I mean, Duke doesn't give up a lot of goals, and they give up 16. Georgetown usually plays really good defense and have a great goalie, and they give up 18. And um, so, as a coaching staff, we talk about it a lot. Like, we get into that weird hypothetical the day before the game, and there's nothing else to talk about. All right, how do we win this game? What's the score? And when you're playing Notre Dame, it's like, we're not winning this game 16-15 because they're really hard to score goals against. Can we get to 11 or 12 and we'll try to keep them to 9 or 10, but we're not scoring more than 12 goals against Notre Dame. And then when you get ready for the Syracuse game, it's like, offense, can you get to 15 or 16? I'm not sure we're keeping them to 9.
I expect the atmosphere to be even bigger on Saturday. Syracuse is honoring Coach Desko joining the Ring of Honor. What was it like coaching against him, and what does he mean to the lacrosse world?
I think he's an exemplary representative of coaching, period. Whether it's lacrosse or any other sport. I found him a consummate professional. John Desko always treated people really well. He makes the athlete, the coach, the opposing coach, feel important, respected. Whenever I coached against him, I didn't see someone berating officials. Of course, we worked the officials, but I always with respect. I felt like after the game, the handshake, um, whether he was congratulating me or, a little consoling, I always felt like he just just was going to make sure the relationship was more important than the outcome. And I just, and what a winner. I mean, all the guy did was win as a player, as an assistant, as a head. Um, and I'm so happy that Syracuse University is honoring one of the very, very best and just an incredible human being.
Coach, I just want to go back to this Duke game because I saw something on Twitter that you guys had won four national championships in between regular season wins against Duke. How big of a win was that for your program? Can you just walk me through how big that game was?
I know. Up until this past Saturday, I was telling people I've won more national championship games as a coaches than I have wins over Duke.
Yeah.
Try to explain that one. First of all, I want to give Coach Danowski, and I mean that's incredible.
Yeah.
An ACC opponent, an ACC rival. We're not talking about Southwest Missouri State. We're not talking about some non-conference opponent you haven't lost to in 20 years. You're talking about a conference opponent who competes at a high level, who has their own tremendous history. Like to do that for that long, that's incredible by Coach Janowski and his teams. Um, and so that's the most important thing I want to make sure we share. Um, I mean, it was bound to happen at some point, right? At some point, and I've taken better teams to Durham, North Carolina. Um, but this was the right team. This was the right team to do it, and so it was I guess I don't focus on it too much, but
Yeah.
people told me afterwards, like, Lars, you were still an assistant coach the last time this happened. McCabe Millen wasn't even a month old. I'm like, really? Yeah, I guess that's a long time. And so um, it's I'm really happy. It's funny because you commit to Virginia as a high school recruit and you show up as a first year, and now you accept all that responsibility. You accept that 800-pound gorilla, even though you had nothing to do with those games, but you do. You part of the legacy, the positives and the negatives. And so for this group to end that streak, um, I'm thrilled for them.
Obviously, Syracuse coming off that game against North Carolina, Joey Spallina had 0 points. But when you're going up an attackman like Joey Spallina, what are the difficulties going against him, and how do you even try to stop a guy like that?
Well, we try with a guy named John Schroeder. Um, the problem is if you focus too much on Joey and then don't have a six-man defense, but you're playing a five-man defense. If you're trying to make this 5 versus 5, there's just too much other talent out there. But if you don't focus enough on Joey, I mean, the great things about Joey is he's a bulldozer, a Dodger, and but he has vision and he has great hands. It reminds me of Dylan Malloy, the man I was lucky enough to coach at Brown, who won the Tewaaraton. Dylan had the bulldozer dodging ability, but the hands, it was really about the hands, the quickness of the release of the shot or the feed to the crease when he did draw the slide. What Joey does well too is off ball. Watching him when they've put him in the crease or put him on a wing, and now he's got his hands free at 8 yards. We always think of Joey as the quarterback behind the goal running the show, and he's phenomenal at that. But where he's also dangerous is floating around and catching balls and shooting as well. So just as we need to get Mickey Millen going, I wouldn't be surprised if they do that with Joey Spallina, put him in different spots. And just because the more the ball's in his stick, the better for Syracuse.
Yeah, coach, we walked through the takeaway versus turnover matchup, but in your eyes, what do you think Virginia needs to do to win on Saturday? How does that happen?
It's the transition. Can we get transition while avoiding allowing transition? And we've been allowing too much transition. If you watch the Duke game, Duke has a bunch of high bouncers that go over the cage on 4-on-3 fast breaks. Um, and we were just fortunate on the way their transition shooting went for most of the day. Um, we can't give up that much transition to Syracuse. I know it inevitably happens. Again, 2 years ago, Virginia at Syracuse in the Dome, 15 transition goals. That's a ridiculous number.
Yeah.
That's a ridiculous number. I mean, if there's 7 or 8 transition goals in a lacrosse game, you're like, whoa, that was fun. That was cool. They got up and down. Double that in 2024. And so it's part of the nature of when these two teams play that it's going to be fast and its goalies are going to make saves and get the ball up and out. And Dwan from Syracuse is going to be running, hunting for more goals. It's just kind of the nature of the game. But I think that's a big key is can we get the transition while can we rotate back and, you know, take away some of those transitions? Syracuse is going to score their 6v6 goals. They're going to get theirs. But can we keep their transition goals from 7 down to like 1 or 2? Maybe that's wishful thinking.
Coach, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time as always, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you, Griffin. Thank you, Josh. I really enjoyed the time.